I remember the exact second my patience broke. The valet was still taking the keys. The ballroom doors glowed gold. My mother-in-law leaned close, breath sharp with perfume and contempt, and pointed at my son like he was a stain. "Keep him in the car," she hissed. "He'll embarrass us." I said nothing. I never did. Not when it mattered to her. I tightened my grip on my son's hand and felt his fingers tremble. That was the moment the plan stopped being theoretical. That was the moment it became personal. She had always been careful with cruelty, polite enough to deny, precise enough to wound. Years of dinners where my opinions were decorations, of holidays where my son was tolerated, not welcomed. She ran her company the same way, immaculate surfaces, rot underneath. She called it standards. I called it training. The Gala was her crown jewel, 40 years of speeches polished to applause, a dynasty wrapped in crystal chandeliers. She needed perfection. She needed obedience. She needed me quiet. I had been quiet, until I learned why. It started with a document misfiled in a shared drive, an adoption ledger masked as a tax appendix, one date circled in red, one name missing, a pattern of payments that never made sense until they did. I followed the money. I followed the silence. I followed the way my mother-in-law stiffened every time my son laughed too loudly, loved too openly, existed too honestly. The truth didn't arrive with drama. It arrived with math, a sealed settlement, a coerced signature, a baby surrendered to protect a brand, a grandson erased because he didn't fit the picture frame. She didn't hate my son because he embarrassed her. She hated him because he proved something had survived her control. Pain came first, then clarity, then a list. I didn't confront her. I prepared. I hired auditors who didn't ask permission. I pulled minutes from board meetings that predated my marriage. I set up a retirement trust in my son's name, the kind that sleeps until it doesn't. Voting rights quietly attached, contingencies nested inside contingencies. Every step legal, every move invisible. She underestimated me because she had trained me to be small. That was her mistake. The CEO arrived late. He always did. A man carved by time, power resting on him like a burden. He didn't look at the stage. He didn't look at the banners. He walked past my mother-in-law as if she were air and went straight to my son. He knelt. The room bent toward them. Conversations died mid-syllable. "I finally found you," he whispered, voice breaking. Tears cut clean lines through decades of restraint. My mother-in-law's face went pale, not shocked, recognizing. I watched the lie collapse in her eyes, watched 40 years of curation crack. She tried to smile. She failed. Cameras caught it. They always do. The CEO stood and took my son's hand. He looked at me then, really looked, and nodded once. A thank you, or an apology. I didn't need to know which. The speech never happened. Instead, a phone buzzed, then another, then a third. The board convened an emergency meeting before dessert was served. Documents appeared on tablets like ghosts. A trust activated. Votes shifted. A chair scraped the floor too loudly. "You're outdated. We're done here," the CEO hissed to her in an aside corridor, the words sharp enough to draw blood. I replied quietly when she turned to me, eyes pleading now, voice gone thin. "Understood." By Monday morning, the question was everywhere, whispered with disbelief. Who just fired the person who owns 76% of the shares? The answer was boring. The answer was preparation. The trust had matured. The shares had moved. The board followed the math. They always do. Power isn't loud when it's real. It doesn't announce itself. It clears its throat, and everyone listens. She called me that night, left 3 voicemails. In the last one, she cried. I deleted them all without listening past the first sentence. Closure doesn't require witnesses. At school pickup, my son ran to me, grinning. Free! The CEO sent a message with one line. He's safe now. I believed him. I believed myself. I don't regret the way it ended. Regret is for accidents. This was architecture. I think about the gala sometimes, the chandeliers, the hush, the moment truth knelt in front of a child and asked to be forgiven. I think about how easily a throne tips when its legs are rotten. I think about how silence, when chosen, becomes a weapon. My mother-in-law lost her company that night. She lost her story. She lost the future she tried to curate by cutting pieces out of it. I gained something simpler. I gained my voice. I gained my son's laughter without fear. I gained the calm that comes from finishing what you started. Justice doesn't need applause. It needs timing, and I have excellent timing.